Good morning. This road's a lot quieter at 7:45 in the morning than it is in the afternoon. So I had a video chat with the folks last night. Finn's doing absolutely fine. Doesn't seem to be missing me too much. I told my dad I'm pretty much going for trying to finish on Saturday for the ferry, which is committing me to that long day trying to get to Barrisdale Bay today. As long as I don't screw it with my knee. What an absolutely glorious day to be walking up the hills, or anything for that matter. I'll tell you what, it's actually the first time during walking that I've felt too warm, and that is not a complaint. So I've come up from down there, pretty much heather bashing to get up onto this track. Absolutely pissing with sweat. I guess I'm all fueled up, you know, like 3-course meal last night and then breakfast, cooked breakfast. The furnace is going and it's warm. It's a really good place to stay though, Grianan House in Inverinate. It's a little bit off the trail, but I guess I've been a little bit off the trail every day on the Cape Wrail Trail due to my crap navigation. So we're heading up that slope to the Beela here, and then we skirt around beneath that. We start going up to the base of the Forking Ridge and then we disappear over the other side. So that's what we're up to. Pretty cool. So I'm going to be striking up to the left very soon. So I'm near the top and I've picked up this wee trail. Someone's made a wee pile of boulders there. What a fantastic view up Glen Shiel. The Five Sisters over there, all in cloud. And that's where we're heading. Up the ridge a bit, probably to where the cloud baseline is, I'm guessing, and then contouring, trying to find the stone wall on the other side. Pretty cool view back down the glen we came up. See the Beela up there? We have to climb higher than that and then drop down to it, I believe. You can see a couple of folk on the ridge up there. I think we're going above that. So just to give you an idea, that Beela that I hauled myself up onto, that was quite straightforward ground by the way, up onto that. That's at about 500 metres. And I'm now currently at about 600 metres. Just coming to the base of the Forking Ridge. Saying it just so you have an idea of the heights that you have to gain and where. And I'm pretty chuffed actually. I feel good. I mean we pretty much cracked this ascent. At a wee cairn, you see the wall. As long as I can see it, just follow that round I guess. Yeah, probably best just sticking by the wall down there. I tried to do what the Harvey maps say and come along and drop down the ridge here, but probably a waste of time. Brilliant. So I'm going for the option of staying to the west of the burn rather than the stony stuff over there. That's the route the Harvey Maps takes you, but I think the track goes up the glen a bit further up the west side of the burn, so I'm aiming to pick that up. You can see there is a bit of a track down, very faint, seems to take the best line. A good view back to the Forking Ridge there, like up to the Beelach. It's cloudy Knoydart. It's actually looking pretty good though. Still got 5 miles from here down to Kinlochhorn and the Red and Walk Highlands. The average walker takes 3 or 4 hours to get from there to Barrisdale Bay along the roller coaster path, so by Lochhorn. So still a long way to go, but at least I'm over that pass. I've come down pretty much the west side, picked up the track for a bit, ignored its extra bends that kept going back uphill. I've ended up in this fantastic path. This bit's a bit funny because I'm actually walking kind of east into the quarry. I'm trying to get down over there. The track's obviously going for where it can cross a river, so how civilised is this from the B&B? Oh. Nice wee break for lunch. So it's basically a case of heading down this track down to the Pylands and pick up another track. Just had a look at the map. Bit of a knee crushing descent down into Kinlochhorn. It's lovely though. I think I'm going to end up with a rhododendron in my rucksack. You know, way back up north when I got to Glencool, that view as I came round the corner, I thought this is going to be the highlight of the trip. And then when I had that night's camping by the source of the River Oikel, I thought this is going to be the highlight of the trip. And then walking from Ullapool over to Loch an Nid over the Dundonald Peninsula, seeing Anchelic, I thought this is going to be the highlight of the trip. And then the Falls of Glomach, I thought this is going to be the highlight of the trip, and now today I'm thinking this is the highlight of the trip. It's lovely. I don't care how up and down it is now. I'm just going to take my time and enjoy it. What a day! See across to the saddle and the forking ridge. Probably won't be able to make that out in the video, but I can see the cool in the sky way in the background. Barrisdale Bay. That was a long day, but I actually thoroughly enjoyed it, so that's a bonus. I thought it was going to become a bit of a forced march just so I could get the ferry on Saturday, but no, that was worth it. That was lovely. Don't get me wrong, it was a long day. I'm not claiming it was easy, but I think what helped, as well as the weather, was getting a home cooked 3-course meal last night and a nice big breakfast. Really set me up for this. And my knee's done fine. I've used the poles, so I'm pretty pleased. Looking forward to getting the tent up and getting some food right enough. Campsite there. Well, maybe you can't. That's where I was last night. Woke up to a stunning morning, but there's a cold easterly. That easterly is back. Even if it totally pissed on me for the next 3 days into Fort William, I'd still have had it really good. Super chuffed about yesterday though, and the fact that I'm still able to walk without pain. You know, I'm the sort of guy that likes to put a bit of effort into to get stuff in the bank, you know, so it's done. Which kind of, that attitude just defeats the whole purpose of coming here to enjoy the scenery, because you just end up getting into about bashing miles instead of enjoying those miles and looking around and camping and appreciating where you are each night. And I've been really disciplined, for me, so far with that, apart from maybe one day when I went past the schoolhouse bothy because I didn't like the situation there with the car park, which is fair enough. I felt great, so I just went on for another few miles and found somewhere I did like. But yesterday was on my mind that it might be the day that I ruin everything, but no, it's the fact that I enjoyed it so much as well, and as well as get all those miles done and see all that scenery, the great weather. I mean, it has rained on me at some point every day apart from one, but even so, the weather's been fantastic for me. It's been cool, but not super cold. It's been a relentless climb up to this pass, but it gets the job done. It doesn't go up and down and then up again and down again and then up again like yesterday. Wow. I've been a total idiot. There's me going on about how disciplined I was with my days. I set off this morning and climbed completely the wrong pass. Didn't even look at the map. Ah, you fanny. So I'm going all the way back down after that relentless climb to go all the way back up over there. Go me! So I've just got to try and get over this and try and start enjoying myself again. I hope I haven't screwed my whole trip up. Oh, Egypt. Can't believe I did that. So I'm going to try and fix this by going cross country in Knoydart. Well, I had plenty of practice on the Cape Wrail Trail. You know, until I did the Cape Wrail Trail, I used to think my navigation was pretty good. And you know what's letting me down? It's just that moment, taking that moment to check the map. Even just times like setting off in the morning, for example, and you've already seen the path that's going the right way, so you think, that didn't work, did it? Give up, Scott. Accept defeat. Get your arse back on the track. Ah dear. I'm not climbing deer fences. See that glen there? That's where I'm supposed to be going. Oh well, bonus. Good morning. Attempt number 2. Well, I'm certainly more awake now, so this is the Cape Wrail Trail route. Actually, you can go that way in the Cape Wrail Trail, but it takes you down to Inverinate, and then I'd have to come over another pass to get back onto this. Well, the route I'm trying to go. And I've already done that, so I was quite keen to come up here. It's a lovely walk, this. It's going to get quite a bit steeper by the looks of it though. We're heading up there. It does get steeper, but there's actually a really good stalker's path, zigzags up, so it's good to know. This is awesome. I'm so chuffed I can see all this. I mean, my barometer's dropping, like the try again. My barometer, the pressure's dropping. I guess my barometer's dropping as well at the moment. It's just so epic. We're heading down there eventually. I'll just come round this corner and I want to be heading down there now, so I'm going to find my way down. See, there is a bit of a path zigzagging down here, sort of on the west side of this burn. I should have picked up. Even the bluebells are out here. So I'm standing on the path. Basically, if you get to this bend, if you're coming up the way, you cross that first burn and you keep that burn on your left hand side, and that's the start, and then the path moves away from the burn and zigzags. But it is a decent enough way up and down. across over there. Really glad I've got my poles for this bit so you can test the bog in front. So I put my pole in one of them and it just about swallowed the pole. Because at the start of my walk, this was just sprouting really. Wee bit of shelter just here, but that wind's fierce. It's knocking me back. At least there's plenty of rocks to shelter behind up here though. Struggling to hold the camera still. Ah. I nearly got blown off a rock just before I got to the cairn. I need to get down. You see those trees getting blown. I've got a bit of shelter here on my left, but I need to find a sheltered place for the tent tonight. This is where I've ended up, trying to get some shelter from that wind and the trees. It keeps gusting like it is just now. Could be a noisy night. My face feels like burned from that wind. It was pretty mental. It kind of knocked me off balance a few times, but glad to be down off that and got some reasonable shelter in these trees by the river. It's kind of out of sight from the main track. The tent does, the gust seems to come down every now and then into the trees, but most of the time it's like this. You can hear the trees howling outside and creaking and groaning. So I managed to salvage the day in the end, got to where I wanted to get to. It did become a bit of a march towards the end because I was tired because of the cock up at the start. I felt strong until that last pass in the wind, and enjoyed it until that last pass in the wind. So tomorrow, hoping to get to, like, is it Kona Glen, like past Glenfinnan. So I've got a final easy day into Fort William, well, to the ferry anyway, which I've got to get for, I think it's 4:30. Better check that. I'm going to have a look at some maps now because it's only about 6:30. So good night for today. Good morning. Penultimate day of walking and final night tonight. That's where I was camped last night. Heading on our way back to the, on my way back to the track. Well, it may not be the most scenic of walking, but I'm really grateful for the shelter from that wind. I know the best of sleeps last night, as you can imagine. I twice had to get up and restake the guy ropes that got blown out. Okay, this looks like where I think I have to go down to the River Peen. We're going up there. So I've decided to come up the west side of the river, or burn. See the deer crossing the river. I'm not actually sure this path's worth it, because you have to come back down. So it's the path that's shown on the Ordnance Survey, but maybe Harvey maps at a point and just head over there on the other bank. Yeah, the other bank does clearly look better. This is nice though. Much better than Glen Desiree. It seems such a bleak place, you know. Barren and those horrible conifer plantations. Quite glad to be up here. Though, like I said, I was quite grateful for those horrible conifer plantations with that wind. It's quite a cold wind as well. Right, so I've got to haul myself up that. Taking a moment's rest after being battered over that pass and admiring this view. It looks a bit cheerier. So I believe that was the penultimate pass of the Cape Wrail Trail for me. I've got one more to get over into Kona Glen, which I intend to do today. I'm actually really excited to be nearing the end, you know. I did set out to enjoy this. I set my days up to enjoy this to what I thought I could manage. I did end up doing a sort of almost a double day from Shield Bridge over to Barrisdale Bay, but I always thought I might be doing that anyway if I felt strong and was managing to enjoy myself, which I think I have done for the most part. I didn't enjoy that, for example, but there's always going to be times like that. I think generally I've had it lucky. Well, clearly, as I've said probably a few times before, certainly not to be underestimated this. Certainly not found it easy by any means, but I'm really glad to have done the journey, and yeah, it's not over yet. So dark up there. It's got to be done. After 2 weeks at Cape Wrail Trail, I think I belong down there. Glenfinnan's another planet, isn't it? Here's me with my mud-caked, smelly trousers and smelly everything else. So I've following this track for a bit. I've deliberately slowed down because I managed to at least get signal, get a weather forecast update, and this horrible wind and rain is gonna pass. Like, it calms down by about 7 o'clock tonight, so I'm not in a hurry to put my tent up too early. Still sunny in Inverinate. It's a bit bleak up here and everywhere else. Right, after miles and miles of road, we're back to trail. That's the last pass. Descending into Grianan now. Right, camped up for the final night in Grianan. Pretty enough spot. Might be a little bit of boggy in places, but I think it's going to be a dry night, so it should be fine. Tell you, one of the bonuses about it being the last night is I don't have to put these back on again, because I can walk tomorrow in my dry sleeping gear. I'm not on about my pyjamas, I'm on about my clean hiking kit. Which is a bonus. Clean socks. Good morning. It was quite a cold night last night. Ended up with my down jacket on and thermal inside the sleeping bag, and had the hood fully up around my head. I'll get cold pretty easy right enough. Anyhow, final day. I may look happy about that. I'm pretty excited to be finishing, to be honest. Get to see my dog again. So I've only been on the trail 2 weeks. Started the Saturday before last, and my head's in a completely different place. I hope for the better. Just it is totally cleared of, like, I'm thinking about going back to my house today, which I will be doing, and it just seems exotic. I don't know. Like, just a different life. I don't know how to express this. I was gonna say it's almost like camping and walking's become the new normal, but that sounds a bit too much like what journalists said before COVID. See, last time I did anything as long as this, I was actually camping and walking for 3 months, nearly, and starting off down the Pennine Way. And I certainly didn't feel like finishing after 2 weeks on that, whereas on this trip I'm totally ready to finish. Maybe that says something about the Cape Wrail Trail. I'll tell you another thing that's strange about finishing. It's the fact that I've lost that focus now of preparing for the Cape Wrail Trail. Mentally I started it back in February in terms of the planning, the preparation, checking out my kit. It was great fun actually, it gave me focus, got me through those final months of that ridiculously long lockdown. So I'm not going to have that anymore when I get home. So what now is the big question. I've got a week off, which is really going to be, I'm really glad I took 3 weeks off of this, so that week off is going to be pretty good, just to adjust again and have a think about those sorts of things. This bit of the glen's lovely. I'm just wondering if that would have been a good camping spot. Little river coming down. It's hard to judge how flat the ground is from up here, but that's the kind of place I would have sought out. Just a wee bit away from the track, eh? I've met plenty other Cape Wrail trailers as well, particularly because I'm going south, most folk go north. I'd say about a third of them were also wearing trail shoes, maybe a little bit less. Some of them were going to take a lot longer than I was, some of them were going to go a lot quicker than I was. The quicker people tend to have a lot more minimal kit with them. You have to balance what you're going to be comfortable with you know, how much time you've got, how much time you want to spend doing it. I definitely erred on the side of carrying extra weight than I normally do for the comfort side, because I wanted this to be a holiday. I wanted to enjoy it as much as I could. That was my main goal. That was more important than completing it, really. So you know, I've got clothes in here that I haven't worn. I took 3 thermals, one for sleeping in, one for hiking, and a backup hiking one in case the first one got completely soaked and I couldn't dry it out for, I don't know, I've got a spare jumper that I had for sleeping in case it got too cold. It was going to be also a spare emergency layer in case things got silly. You can get snow in May. People were getting snow in May coming north. Wow, that's pretty much a campsite. I think I'll have a wee sit down as it's sunny, because I'm going to be away too early for the ferry. I realise now I probably should have gone for the 12:35 ferry, which I would have got easily. This is almost harder, trying to walk slow, and it's raining over there and I'm just kind of stuck for 6 hours. It's lovely down here. Pretty different from everywhere else on the trail. So I've really tried to slow down, but I've still got 5.5 hours hanging around to do, well, 3.5 waiting for the ferry. Just walking along tarmac road. I think I'm going to head down to the Corran ferry instead, and then get my dad to meet me on the other side of that. Saves him going into Fort William as well, because otherwise it's just, it feels kind of pointless just sitting around. Can you make out the old millstones in that? That's the River Scaddo. I like it. That's weird. I wonder if it's an old ford. Yeah, my Cape Wrail Trail finished as soon as I hit the tarmac, so I'm just on my way home now, heading down to the Corran ferry. I've contacted my dad. It saves both of us hanging around for another 2-3 hours, and then we get to have a beer sooner, of course. Very important.